looks like we're recording with. Hello, Lawrence.
Hello, Miles.
So, it's been a minute.
It has.
So, should we tell them what we're watching, what we watched this week?
Do they deserve to know, though?
I don't think so, but let's tell them anyway. Just so they're not left in the dark. So this week, me and Lawrence, we went to go see Jumanji The Next Level. And I think it was a pretty good movie. What about you?
I'd agree. I really enjoyed it. I liked the additional cast members they added from the last movie. I think they all played a good role. I really liked Danny DeVito and The Rock. I liked The Rock playing Danny DeVito. I thought that was really good casting.
Yeah. That's something new that most have not seen from The Rock before. He really went out of his area of expertise, so has put him within with that one.
I'd agree with that. I think Kevin Hart was also really cool playing Danny Glover. I think for all of the, Jumanji characters, I think they all did a really good job portraying different characters within the movie throughout the movie. They kept it very level with how they portrayed one character. They didn't go too over the top. They didn't go too under the belt. I think they got it just right.
Yeah, especially when not only two new characters were added, but one character had to play another character. Jack Black this time had to act as a fridge.
Damn, that's a good list. Weaknesses: heat, sun, and sand. How is this guy a character in an adventure game? Man, it is hot out here!
So that was interesting to see as well. And I think he actually did a pretty good job. But then again, Jack Black has done some interesting characters in his career since becoming an actor. So
Talk about casting. Let's talk about just visually. I think visually, this Jumanji to me was more engaging than the last one. Not because the last one wasn't beautiful or anything, but to me, this movie had a lot more variety in the different scenes we saw. I really enjoyed that. We got to see, well, I'm not going to spoil it yet, but we got to see a lot of different places in Jumanji and learn more about just Jumanji itself in a way. And the interesting I think they did with this story was they added to the characters from the last movie. So we got to see the characters be played. It's like, okay, how many times are you going to play a character in a game? But they added something to these characters, so each one of them had new skills or new weaknesses that really made them more dynamic throughout the story.
Strengths and weaknesses, linguistics.
Oh, goodness.
Nunchucks, that's new.
yeah, they also added diversity, not only in the fact of this race in this one, because they added more people to it, but also age, because the original one, they had diversity in it when it came to race, but they added more to it this time around with some of the newer characters that they have. And the last one, they mainly focused on younger people, those younger characters, while this one, they had a mixture, even of gender and age range, from young people to older people, like Danny DeVito and Danny Glover. I have to say, I still like the soundtrack. A lot of it's been the same soundtrack since like the original Jumanji, but the warning sounds and everything. But I say it's a classic sound. I like that they stuck with it still, and this new music that they added to it throughout, and some of the older classic things that go with Jumanji, along with the, like you were saying, the beautiful scenery of Jumanji. That they've gone, instead of just staying in like one area this time, they go to more. There's one or two areas this time. They went to a multitude of places, and I think they just, with the cinematography and everything, they just did a good job, made it look real beautiful. Even if I believe some of it done post, and even then, it looked really good.
You know, the thing that makes Jumanji a good movie as a series is the way they mix our reality with the reality of the game. And the thing that I think engages me with this Jumanji series particularly is with the original, I mean, everything came out. So we got to see kind of what was in Jumanji, but we didn't really get to know Jumanji. I feel like with these new movies, a lot of the focus has been getting to know Jumanji itself as, well, I would say it's kind of like an entity. Like, really, it's alive, it has its own, it's changing, it grows, it brings people in, brings people out. Honestly, and if you do the research, you'll find out that they actually have left it open for a potential sequel. And if they do the sequel, I would want to learn more about the magic of Jumanji itself, because despite everything we've seen in Jumanji, we've never been given a true explanation to why Jumanji has the power it does to pull people in, push people out, control time. I mean, all the things that it does. It's its own universe in a way. And I think in a third Jumanji sequel, it would be really cool if the main characters, whoever they are, if they're the same characters, if they're new characters, whoever, had to really dive deep into the actual mythos of Jumanji to understand the game and really beat the game.
Yeah, I think that is something that would be very interesting to dive into, because always talking about how, because even the original is just talk about how it was a cursed game, that the board game was a cursed game, while in these newer ones it's a cursed game, but it's because of, it shows it through the software and it's saying like, yo, this game's cursed, so you pick a character, you get pulled in. It doesn't say why or how, it just said that's what's happening. So it doesn't give us the true origin story for Jumanji, and I actually like to find it out, because this is an interesting series. It's a series at this point of the movie, so, and it's just fun. I like it, especially with the new things that they bring to it each time.
I think the only thing with Jumanji as a series that I would like to see more of that they don't do, that I think kind of harms it, is we know in the first, if you watch the first sequel to Jumanji, or the second Jumanji, that somehow magically the board game became a video game. And I assume that's Jumanji. Like I said, Jumanji is some kind of living entity at this point. It did that to survive. I would like to see more of a connection between the original Jumanji and these newer Jumanjis, besides the fact that we know it was a board game that turned itself into a video game. I would like to see maybe some kind of, I don't know, like if they stay with the video game route, they could add a mission where they have to really dive into the history of the past characters, and they learn about Alan from the first movie and the kids from the first movie, or maybe they bring back the kids as adults in the new movie. That's always a potential possibility. I mean, I don't know who played them, so I don't know how old they are, but I mean, it took place in like 90s, 80s, so they can't be that old.
Yeah, I'd say they should be probably about 40s, 50s, maybe like early 60s, maybe.
And with them increasing the ages of the characters that they're including in Jumanji, I mean, it wouldn't be a bad idea to have that connection to kind of bring the whole thing full circle.
Yeah, I'd definitely like to see something like that, but I feel like I want to say some spoilers, but first let's give it a rating so that way we can.
Well, I still want to talk about the story, because we really haven't described the story at all.
Yeah, but the way I want to describe the story.
Well, I don't.
Well, you can.
We can describe the story without spoiling the story. You can do your spoiler after we describe the story. So, story of the third Jumanji is that it's been 3 years since the original Jumanji, where all the kids escaped and are able to live their lives. And Spencer, the main character who played Dr. Bravestone, aka The Rock, in the last game, has been very, I guess, unsatisfied with life is the best way to describe it. He's realizing that life is monotonous, it's boring, he's in college, he's not really enjoying it, and he's seeing his friends doing all these fun, amazing things, and what is he doing? He's working in a retail store and just going to college. He's not doing anything with his life really. So he begins to long for the feeling of Jumanji because he wants to feel powerful again. He wants to really find out who he is. And that causes him to refine the game, which they don't explain really, but apparently in between the last movie and this movie, he found the game again and brought it home because he had it hidden in his basement in the movie. And so he goes into Jumanji, and then all his friends get pulled in trying to find him.
I think there was a part in the end clip of the second Jumanji where they show him after they destroy it, him going back to get it. It's like one of the later end clips.
I don't know.
And then hides it in his basement, and this one he pretty much puts it back together the best he can, even though it's not the best, no shade. But
what would we rate this movie?
I'll give it for pure entertainment. If it's pure entertainment, I'll give it like a 7 for entertainment and the beauty of it, because it has some beautiful shots and it has a classic soundtrack to it, and the music goes well with the movie when they do use the music.
I think I'd also give it a 7. I like the character development within this story with the new characters, the old characters. I like the evolution of Jumanji in this movie. It's not the same. Well, yes, the plot is similar to what it is in like previous Jumanjis. Beat the game, you win. They still do it in a way where it feels different than previous Jumanjis. It still feels new. It still feels like you're learning something new about this world as we watch these movies. And I enjoy that very much. I'm very interested to see how they continue it. Especially, I mean, they are open to a sequel if it's in the cards. Well, I guess we'll find out in a couple years. But honestly, it gave me a lot of laughs. I did not expect to laugh as much as I did.
And I'm still laughing at one part.
And I think if you're a fan of the series, I would say see it. If you didn't like the second one, you might not like this one, honestly. It's still, because I mean, as much as it's different, we're still dealing with teenagers. Teenagers always have the same problems, let's be real. The same emotional problems that these kids are having when they first go into Jumanji, they're still kind of struggling with similar problems in this movie. So in that way, it can feel a little monotonous, but it's still a fun movie that you will enjoy if you enjoyed the first one.
So, one spoiler that I really enjoyed that I still am laughing about is so they start off in the jungle, but they get transported to the desert. And in the desert, if you know Kevin Hart, you would know this. You like as soon as you see this, what's about to happen, you would know, like, yo, this is on Kevin Hart stuff right here. Like, because one part while they're in the desert, they run into an ostrich. Now everyone's saying, yo, ostrich Kevin Hart. Some funny stuff's why they go down, because Kevin Hart and animals, 1, don't mix too well, and 2, Kevin Hart has a story that he has a stand-up routine that he does about an ostrich.
I'm laughing. I'm driving like 30 miles per hour. I look out the passenger window. The ostrich was running 30 miles per hour beside the car. His body was still facing this way, but his head was still like this. He was hard-assing at 30 miles per hour.
I just love that part of the movie.
spoiler-wise, the thing that I think was really intriguing to me about this movie was the addition of this new villain who, at the end, you find out is possibly, and they later confirmed this in the in a interview, that this new villain was actually an Avatar character. So someone else has been pulled into this game, and he's either been in Jumanji this entire time, or somewhere between the end of the second movie and the start of the third movie, someone else was able to find Spencer's game and go into the game. Most likely, based on context clues, it's easier to assume that he's been there the whole time, and that really intrigues me because I really want to see. Because they said that if they do a sequel, they're gonna dive right into the backstory of this character. We're gonna learn more about who he is, how he got there, and why he decided to pretty much take over Jumanji. He was pretty much conquered Jumanji with a horde of Viking warriors. And one of my favorite parts is when they're learning about this story, like the background and how this guy is coming to power. They do like a cutscene, and it shows just this heavy Viking guy. Looks like he came out of Game of Thrones or Vikings or whatever, ready to go attack this village of just Africans and Chinese people. And my first thought is Pocahontas, because I just love that scene. All these white men are dangerous, and every time I swear to God, it was just us in the theater. I burst out laughing that entire time because I was just thinking, wow, this is so the perfect summary of this movie.
These white men are dangerous.
The villains, 90% of them are just white men attacking. I mean, the people that they attacked were Africans and Chinese. One little white boy. The one white boy in the entire village. Don't know.
Yeah, I noticed that. Like,
yeah, he was one white boy in the entire
boy.
village. I don't know who his parents were. I don't know how he got there. Somehow, someone had a white boy. I think there are some parents that need to have a talk. But that's besides the point. But yeah, spoilerize. Geography in this movie, I mean, it was a lot different. We got to see a desert. We got to see a mountain range that was, I mean, kind of Germanic in the way that they kind of did it, especially with the characters in it. It was very clear that they took some inspiration from Vikings and other cultures like that. And it was different from the usual jungle forest vibe that you get from Jumanji. I mean, it's Jumanji, so obviously they did go to the forest and the jungle and experience jungle adventures and dangers, but most of the dangers they faced were outside the jungle. I think it's a good movie. If you're a fan of fun family movies, you're gonna enjoy it. If you're a fan of Jumanji, you'll probably enjoy it. If you like the last movie, you're gonna laugh at this one. It's funny, it's got good character moments, and it's Jumanji. What can you really say besides that? So that's all we got for today. But join us next week. We will be back again as we begin Black History Month with a series on classic and new Black movies that have been coming out.
This should be fun.
I can already hear the haters screaming.
But it's Black History Month though. This is our month.